With the unseasonably warm weather, we've seen most of December expected to continue, and there's no chance of a white Christmas in Denver, unfortunately, this year. We're glad you're here with us. I'm Alexandra Lewis.
And I'm Phil Lipoff. Denver continues to bask in record warmth this December, with temps again today close to 70. Taking a live look outside right now over the city. It's a beautiful end to this day. 13th time we have hit at least 60 degrees this month alone, and that's the fourth most on record, and we're talking ever, and we will likely beat that record. Let's check in with senior meteorologist Chris Bianchi. Chris, this has been something else.
You know, San Diego and Miami have about as much of a chance of a white Christmas as Denver, Colorado for us, which is pretty wild to say. And look at these temperatures. Again, it's the eve of Christmas Eve, this Festivus for all you fellow Seinfeld fans. We're in the 60s right now around the metro area, nearly 70 for us in Centennial. Again, what are we doing? It's December the 23rd. These temperatures more typical for maybe October, even September the 23rd. Temperatures, 50s, 60s, Eastern Plains, 40s, even 50s for us in the mountains. That is melting off whatever snowpack is still there, and that is certainly not going to help out with those snowpack numbers, about 55% of where we should be for the end of December. Now, do you have a little relief on the way? Do you have a storm system moving its way through Southern California and Nevada that will push in some moisture for tomorrow and also for our Christmas Day into the mountains? Not much. This isn't exactly a big storm, but enough that we will see some active weather move its way into parts of our mountains. Meantime, here in Denver, it stays dry. Next few hours, we drop back into the 50s for tonight. Our average low for this week, it's in the upper teens. So when you see those lows dropping into the 40s, again, just tells you just how warm it has been. Now, those overall headlines, staying warm, 60s, 70s over the next few days. A hot Christmas with record warmth likely, but we do get some relief this weekend. I'll tell you about it in just a few minutes.
Right now, just over 600 XL customers are still impacted by outages following last week's windstorm and power shutoffs. This is a live look at the utility company's outage map. While hundreds of customers are still battling power issues, there is a significant drop compared to last week when we saw hundreds of thousands of people with no electricity due to planned outages.
And while many customers impacted by the planned outages that Alex is talking about are back up and running, the days in the dark left many looking for some help. Arvada Fire lent a hose to the community farm that lost power there. These are photos provided by crews stopped by a local nonprofit animal farm. You can see members filling up water troughs for the thirsty cows. Members of the community farm say they made it through the power outage and all the animals are doing just fine.
An out-of-state traveler may have exposed people at DIA to measles a few weeks ago. Colorado's Department of Public Health and Environment says on Friday, December 12th, a person who was infected with measles traveled through Concourse B. That person arrived at gate B45 about 7:30, left from B84 2 hours later. CDPHE says the passenger was fully vaccinated and only had mild symptoms, so the risk of transmission is lower, but still very possible.
And the holiday travel rush is here. DIA says it expects to see more than 750,000 people pass through TSA this holiday season. And today could be one of the busiest days there. Thankfully, things are running smoothly so far. Our crews were there this morning where TSA lines came in waves, but they weren't too unbearably long. And according to FlightAware, DIA has seen just over 200 delays and only 3 cancellations today.
CDOT also has some holiday heads up and a warning travelers that you could see more traffic on the Front Range as people get last-minute holiday chores done. That's mainly because there's a large number of shopping centers in the area. So to help ease holiday traffic, CDOT is suspending construction projects starting at noon tomorrow. Also, there's going to be no work scheduled from Christmas to New Year's. And if you are heading up to the high country for the holidays, there will be no lane closures throughout the week due to the Floyd Hill project. Colorado's second largest youth detention facility emptied its campus after internal emails uncovered by 9 News cited basic safety struggles.
The state has now begun reopening Lookout Mountain with fewer kids, a narrower population, and a retrained staff. For the first time, the state's new Division of Youth Service Director sat down with 9 News, and Ria Jha is live outside the facility in Golden right now with more on what they had to say. Ria.
Yeah, we spoke with the new director. His name is Alex Stoysavlovich. He took over about 2 months ago, so Lookout was actually empty at the time he took over. So this was really one of his first tasks at hand. We previously reported nearly 300 documented incidents, 85 employees leaving, and nearly 200 calls to police in the past year. So we asked him what went wrong and what changes have been made here. What were the things that you were hearing about Lookout Mountain? Was there anything that was particularly shocking or surprising to you about how the facility was being run?
It was kind of a multitude of factors that led to the transfer of youth and staff out of Lookout, specifically kind of the high acuity youth that were at Lookout Mountain, the staffing component, the staffing concerns around just having the appropriate numbers of staff, more senior staff.
How would you describe what's fundamentally different about this reopening than how it was running before?
So for this new cohort of youth that are at Lookout right now, so there's two groups, our assessment unit, and those are kids that are newly committed to the Division of Youth Services. The second cohort that we brought back actually last week is transition youth. So these are youth that are really within their last year with DYS and are going back out into our communities and out on parole. I think it's those pieces of you've got new youth coming in, kind of learning the expectations, youth coming out of the system, wanting to do well.
Have there been any changes at Lookout specifically to make sure the youth and the staff are safe from these assault and fighting incidents?
Yes, the retraining of staff, being clear about expectations, being clear about if you have a youth who's escalating, how are we actually addressing that? Are we talking them down? Are we calling a supervisor? Are we calling behavioral health staff? So really making sure that staff have the tools available to them.
How can you be confident that this reopening won't repeat what led to this shutdown in the first place?
We're being very strategic about kind of the reopening of Lookout, making sure we have the right staff, the right youth. We're following our policies, we're following our practices. What I would also say, though, is holistically coming in as a new leader and looking at DYS as a whole. Again, for me, this falls back to making sure we have safe practices, quality practices, and innovative. I've been clear, just because we've done something for 20 or 30 years doesn't mean there's not a better way to do it, a more innovative, or ways that we can bring in technology. And so that's really what I'm interested in building over the next few years with our staff and stakeholders.
The state did confirm that there was an assault here last night where one employee was transported to the hospital. They did say they're back at work this morning, but no other information other than that. So this was one of the first violent incidents since they reopened. The director said that if these violent incidents tend to spike up, they are planning on adjusting operations. So we'll see what that looks like. Reporting live in Golden, Ria Jha, 9 News.
All right, Ria, thank you. A man arrested for a series of drive-by shootings that we have told you about will now spend 14 years behind bars after being sentenced.
Yes, this is Robert Jacobs. He was one of 2 men arrested for the 3 drive-by shootings that Loveland police said happened within 30 minutes last November. As part of a plea deal, Jacobs pled guilty to 3 felony counts, including attempted second-degree murder. Today, a small group of Colorado Democrats will meet to decide who will serve out the rest of State Senator Faith Winter's term. The 45-year-old Democrat spent 11 years in the state legislature representing Broomfield. She was killed in a car crash on I-25 near Denver the day before Thanksgiving. The Arapahoe County Sheriff's Office says she was at fault for a secondary crash in which she rear-ended a truck that did not have visible brake lights. An autopsy revealed Winter had also been drinking. She had publicly struggled with alcohol dependency in the past. A vacancy committee is set to meet in about 2 hours at 6 o'clock tonight and is expected to choose a new state senator to represent Broomfield. Immigration rights activist Jeanette Vizgara is a free woman for now. She spoke today, celebrated after ICE released her from custody Monday. 9 News reporter Aaron Adelson explains Vizgara knows her fight is far from over.
Jeanette Vizgara calls her release from ICE custody a victory after spending 9 months inside its Aurora facility before getting out Monday evening.
Primero en abrazar a mis hijos era la primera cosa que quería hacer. También quería ir a dar gracias a la Virgen de Guadalupe. Y la tercera es poder decirle a mi comunidad que estoy otra vez aquí, como lo he hecho siempre, para guiarlos, apoyarlos y conectarlos con recursos.
A judge ruled she could be released from custody while her immigration case plays out. Vizgara believes the government targeted her because of her activism. She has a long history of challenging removal orders. During President Trump's first term, she sought sanctuary in churches to avoid deportation. When she was arrested in March, her lawyers claim an agent told her, "We finally got you. ICE posted about the arrest, stating high-profile status does not exempt a person from immigration law.
Sabía que por lo que yo estaba haciendo anteriormente en la comunidad, de preparar a la gente, de crear un sistema donde nos avisáramos dónde hay operativos para prevenir el arresto de las personas, sabía que iban a ir detrás de mí.
She does not plan to stop her activism, speaking in front of the federal court with other activists.
No mucha gente tiene el valor que tengo yo. Es cierto. Y dicen, ¿qué vas a hacer diferente ahora? ¿Vas a callar? Es mi esencia no callar.
The government still wants to deport her. Vizcarra said she did not yet know her next court date, but needs to check in with ICE next month.
Luchando y luchando y luchando. No se rindan. Vamos a estar aquí afuera luchando por los demás.
In Denver, Aaron Adelson, 9 News.
The Nuggets are going to be back in action tonight, taking on the Mavericks. Tip-off is at 6, and you can watch the game over on 9 News or streaming on Peacock.
Taking a live look at Ball Arena right now. Tonight, the Avs are hitting the ice for a face-off against the Utah Mammoth. The Avs are really hot right now, riding a 5-game win streak. Meantime, the Mammoth, God bless you, are coming off an overtime win against the Winnipeg Jets. Puck drop tonight is 7 o'clock.